Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of year. The playoffs is edging ever so closer, but before we go to the playoffs itself, we have a brand new play-in tournament to discuss. The play-in tournament that will decide the 7th and 8th seed, and ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a good one. We have so much to discuss, so much to talk about, competitive teams fighting it out to see who's going to get those last two seeds. And in the end, it might not mean much, but for some teams, it could mean everything. So without further ado, let's talk about the play-in tournament and let's talk about it in this video. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today, we've got an NBA play-in tournament video, as we now know the teams that will be playing in this play-in tournament, and now we will have an idea of which teams will be versing those first and second seeds for the East and the West. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts and your predictions on the play-in tournament in this episode or this video. And look, to be honest, I am a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm sure if you have not seen me before, if you watch any of my videos, you'll know I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. So this video does kind of hurt a little bit to make, but these teams have worked all season. And I truly mean this. They worked very hard all season to get where they are. The 9th, the 10th seeds, the 7th, and the 8th seeds. And they're going to be battling it out to see who exactly is going to make the playoffs in itself. And I think these teams deserve a lot of respect for the effort they've went through this season. And I think if you get into this play-in tournament, you deserve to be talked about. And the fact of the matter is, as a Bulls fan, I'm very upset. And it does hurt that I'm going to be talking about the play-in tournament when my team is not in the play-in tournament itself. But out of respect for every single team, I'm making this video because I believe these teams deserve to have the recognition for their seasons. So this is going to be a predictions video of who I think will make it out of both the East play-in tournament and the West play-in tournament. And again, I do have to say, this is one man's opinion, one man's prediction. I can't tell you if I'm going to be right or wrong. I could be way off the mark, or maybe I could be right on the money. Who really knows? But I do have to say, if I upset your team in any way, if I don't back your team, just know that it's my prediction alone. I don't think it's warranting of hate, but again, just bear that in mind. It's just what my prediction. I'm not going to say anything bashful towards any of these teams. I respect all of these teams pretty much. So we're going to first start off with the East, ladies and gentlemen. Now the East, the 7th and 8th seeded Washington Wizards and Boston Celtics will collide in the first game. And again, if you don't know how the play-in tournament works, the 7th and the 8th seed will face each other, and the 9th and the 10th seed will face each other. The winner between the 7th and the 8th seed will secure the 7th seeded position in the NBA playoffs, and they will verse the 2nd seeded team in the East or the West. Then, whoever wins between the 9th and the 10th seed will verse the loser of the 7th and 8th seeded games, and they will claim the 8th seed, whoever wins that game, and will face the 1st seeded in the East or the West. Hopefully that explains it well enough. But the first game and the first conference we're going to be talking about is the Eastern Conference, and the Boston Celtics versus the Washington Wizards. Now, these two teams have been in a lot of up and down scenarios this season. The Washington Wizards started off their season awfully, and I even think the Washington Wizards fans were down in the dumps. They were down bad when they saw their team, and a lot of people were talking about trading Bradley Beal. A lot of people were talking about starting a rebuild. It's time to switch things up. And again, when you start the season so badly, it does bring a lot of false hope. It does bring a lot of, negativity towards your team, and it's understandable. But they, especially towards the end of the season, were on a monster run. They finally got things clicking. Some trades happened. They got Daniel Gafford on that team that has performed very well for them. Chandler Hutchinson. They've done very, very well towards the end of the season. And they secured the 8th seeded position, which I think many people expected them to be at the beginning of the season. They had the team and they had the names on that team to be in the playoffs, and they've managed to secure the 8th seed at this point in time. For the Boston Celtics, they've been injury-driven the entire time, the entire season. They've not had a consistent starting five. They've always been injury. Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, who's not going to be playing in this game either. Bradley Beal's not 100% for the Wizards. This game is very hard to predict, but I think it's only fair to say if you look at the recent form for both teams in the NBA, there's only one clear winner, and that is the Washington Wizards. I think the Washington Wizards will beat the Boston Celtics in a very close, very competitive game. In the end, all it takes for Boston to win is Jaylen Brown having a good game. If Jason Tatum, is having a good game. If Jason Tatum has a good game, Boston has a chance to win this game. But in the end, just by the way that these two teams have been playing overall in these last few weeks, the Washington Wizards have been on an absolute tear, and the Boston Celtics have kind of went up and down a little bit. So in my prediction, I think the Washington Wizards will beat the Boston Celtics, and they will secure the 7th seed, and that will allow them to face the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA playoffs. Russell Westbrook versus Kevin Durant and James Harden. There's not much of a better story you could ask for in the NBA playoffs than that game alone, that series alone. So let's wait and see how that goes. That's going to be a very interesting, I guess, matchup, the Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards, and they've had very good games all season as well. Let's see if that can end up coming true, and that's a reality we can see in the future. But now the 9th and 10th teams, the Charlotte Hornets, the 10th seeded Charlotte Hornets versus the 9th seeded Indiana Pacers. This game, again, like all the other games, this is very, very hard to decide. I think both teams in recent days has been very up and down. The Charlotte Hornets were pretty much set to get in that 8th position minimum, and for whatever reason they ended up falling all the way down to 10th. So they must have lost a lot of games from the last few weeks, and they've been pretty down bad. Again, they've lost to the Bulls recently. So in the end, the Charlotte Hornets, it's going to be very difficult for them, in my opinion, to overcome the Indiana Pacers. But the Indiana Pacers have been struggling in their own way. Recently, they got a win against Philadelphia, and that was a big win for them. But again, every time I hear about the Indiana Pacers, it's always issues with the players, issues with the coach, the matchups, and all of these things that have affected the Indiana Pacers in a negative way. But if you're asking me at this point in time, who would I back? The Indiana Pacers or the Charlotte Hornets? I think I would back the Indiana Pacers. I think this, once again, will be a very close game. I think the Charlotte Hornets will lack experience in these situations that I think the Indiana Pacers do have. The Charlotte Hornets, this is their first time in a while that they're going to be playing in a playoff type of situation. This is basically a playoff game, a one-off playoff game, or a 2-game playoff series. So it's going to be very interesting, but I would back the experience of the Indiana Pacers over, I guess, the youth and resemblance of the Charlotte Hornets. But the Charlotte Hornets definitely has a chance, and I wouldn't put it past them to win this game, but I am going to back the Indiana Pacers, which means we've got the Boston Celtics versus the Indiana Pacers for the 8th seeded position. If this all goes correctly, I have a feeling the Boston Celtics will win this game, which will see the Boston Celtics go to the 8th position and the Indiana Pacers being eliminated from the NBA playoffs. Again, this can go either way. The Indiana Pacers, look, if they have a strong chance, this is the time. They can very much beat the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics have been pretty bad at times, and let's be honest here, they have been pretty bad at times, but when they're on their day, when they're playing the right style of basketball, they're a very tough team to beat, and they have been for a long time now. So if the Boston Celtics can just win one game, then I think that they'll be in the playoffs. I think they'll finish 8th. I think they'll versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Again, that is a matchup that I think many people want to see, considering they have a storied rivalry throughout the years. So that's going to be a very good matchup to see in the NBA playoffs. And again, I'll make a playoffs prediction once we know the teams in the play-in tournament, who's going to make the 7th and 8th seed. But again, that is my prediction. I think the Washington Wizards will finish in the 7th seed, and I think the Boston Celtics will finish in the 8th seed. Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm wrong. Now let's go to the West, because the West is extremely interesting, and I might have a very different opinion to what other people might have to say on this retrospect. But I'm going to start off with the 9th and 10th seed. The Memphis Grizzlies, the 9th seeded Memphis Grizzlies versus the 10th seeded San Antonio Spurs. Greg Popovich, the greatest coach in NBA for many people of all time is going to verse a very young, very vibrant, and very energetic Memphis Grizzlies team that does have some star quality to its name in Ja Morant. But the Spurs, you can never ever count the Spurs out of a game, can you? It's as simple as that. They have a beautiful style of basketball, they have a beautiful way of playing, and the structure of the way that they play, you can never take the Spurs out of any conversation when it comes to the playoffs, the play-in tournament, whoever they're facing, they always have some decent chances to win. But I'm going to back the young and youth and experience here. I'm going to back the Memphis Grizzlies. I think overall Memphis have shown that they can be very, very good and very dominant at times. I think they've destroyed the Eastern Conference. That's how they got the most of their wins. So I would back them to beat the San Antonio Spurs here. I've seen the San Antonio Spurs twice as a Chicago Bulls fan. I've watched 2 of their games. I've watched more of their games, obviously, but again, knowing from experience, they are definitely a team. When they're on form, they are a very, very strong defensive team, and they can make some hell of a run. But I don't think they're going to have much in terms of stopping Jonas Valanciunas in the paint. I think Jonas Valanciunas will have a very good day against the San Antonio Spurs. And I ultimately just think that they have enough offensive firepower to dethrone the San Antonio Spurs in this game. I am going to back the Memphis Grizzlies, and they will be fighting for that 8th seeded position, in my opinion, against either the Lakers or the Warriors. Now, I am absolutely stunned at this situation here that's presented ourselves. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, the Los Angeles Lakers versus Stephen Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, the Golden State Warriors. This is a matchup I did not expect anywhere near the play-in tournament. And sure, I expected the Warriors to be in the play-in tournament, to be fair. That I feel like, unfortunately, with Klay Thompson being out and all of that sorts, Stephen Curry has not really had the best team to play with. But they managed to get the 8th seed, and that's very strong for them. But the Lakers is something I'm surprised that they're here. It's very unfortunate. Again, I hate seeing injuries. I really hate seeing injuries. So seeing LeBron James and Anthony Davis get injured at the same time, it's grueling. And I feel sorry for the Lakers fans that had to watch that. And again, their team struggled because of that. But nevertheless, they are in the play-in tournament. They have a chance to go in the playoffs. But will they beat the Golden State Warriors? Now, again, this is where I have a contrary of belief, probably to most people. I think most people are going to back the Lakers in this game. And to be honest, that's probably the best bet. That's the safest bet. You're going to pick the Lakers because they're obviously championship favorites. Even still, if they can get LeBron James and Anthony Davis healthy in time for the playoffs and in time to get in form for the NBA playoffs. But in a one-game scenario where both LeBron James and Anthony Davis have not been playing at their best basketball, I'm going to back the Golden State Warriors in a one-game scenario. Again, this is not a 7-game series, and this doesn't eliminate the Lakers either. I think the Golden State Warriors just will have enough to overtake the Los Angeles Lakers in a one-game scenario. I just have a funny feeling. And again, you can never know with these games. The Lakers can come out and absolutely crush the Golden State Warriors. And that's probably the expected result, in my opinion. But I just think the way that Stephen Curry has been playing recently, the way the Golden State Warriors have picked up wins that no one expected, the way that the Los Angeles Lakers have been struggling, even with LeBron and AD due to their injuries combined, I just think it's going to take them another game to try and get everything in order, and then in the end, they will end up versing the 9th or 10th seeded team. And in this case, that will be the Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies. And to be honest, this is where I see the Lakers coming out and showing out. Again, when LeBron James is with his back against the wall, I don't think there's another player you'd want on your team, especially with Anthony Davis on there as well. LeBron James against the Memphis Grizzlies will absolutely go off, in my opinion. I think he'll have one of his best games of the entire season. I think he will show why he's still one of the best in the NBA today. And I think he will absolutely go ham on the Memphis Grizzlies. And I think the Memphis Grizzlies will be eliminated from playoff competition. So this means that the Golden State Warriors will secure the 7th seed, and they will face the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, crazy team. DeAndre Ayton, a team I honestly never expected to be the 2nd seed, but here they are, and they've done very, very well to do so. Congratulations to the Phoenix Suns. That's going to be a hell of a game. There's going to be a hell of an offensive display from both teams. And again, Chris Paul versus Stephen Curry, once again, you can't ask for anything more in the playoff series. And that means that the LeBron James LA Lakers will go to the 8th seed, and they will verse the 1st seeded Utah Jazz. And that that will be the key here. If the Los Angeles Lakers are able to beat the Utah Jazz, the first seeded Utah Jazz, who had a career year, shooting at career records, if they could beat the Utah Jazz and eliminate them from playoff competition as the 8th seed, then no one can question that the Lakers are going to be championship favorites going forward. So we're gonna have to wait and see how that goes. Again, I could be very wrong on this, but if you're asking me at this point in time what my prediction is for the East, I think that the Boston Celtics will finish in the 8th seed and the Washington Wizards will finish in the 7th seed. And in the West, I think the Golden State Warriors will finish in the 7th seed, and I think the Los Angeles Lakers will finish in the 8th seed. And we're going to have a very interesting playoff picture on our hands. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, most of you will be Bulls fans, so I know this will hurt to make this video, and I understand the pain that it is missing out even on the play-in tournament. It is very upsetting, it is very sad, but unfortunately for everybody that is not a Chicago Bulls fan, you have a lot of entertaining basketball ahead of you. So good luck to all of your teams. Again, just because I predict some teams to win and some teams to lose, I'm going to be supporting every team in this play-in tournament, because there's going to be some hell of entertaining games here. And again, the play-in tournament, I might not be the biggest fan of the play-in tournament. I don't think it should be a thing next year, but I understand why it's here this year. There's been not enough games, not enough chances for an 82-game season where Bulls, Cavs, Raptors, all of those teams still had a chance in the East to make the play-in tournament, and of course in the West as well, to make the playoffs, So in the 72-game season, I understand the play-in tournament. Next year should not be a thing if there is 82 games. But overall, I'm very, very, very happy to watch some entertaining basketball, some playoff vibe basketball, and that's exactly what we're going to see in the play-in tournament. So good luck to all those teams in the play-in tournament. Hopefully your teams do well, and again, I will be seeing you guys in a playoff prediction once we get things sorted in the NBA play-in tournament. Take care and peace.